Hello, everyone, and welcome to our e-mobility roundtable. I am honored to introduce you our guests and experts on this field of e-mobility. With me today are the following: Mr. Jean-Christophe LABARRE, Innovation and Partnership Strategy Director at Mobilize; Mr. Tadej, Head of Sustainable Mobility Development at Petrol; Mr. Stefan, Head of Strategy at Royce; and Mr. Lennart, Commercial Director at the company Twaice. Dear experts, welcome to our roundtable. Before I begin with my questions, I would like to ask the audience to please feel free to write all of your questions in the chat. We would be more than happy to ask our experts all your possible questions, everything you want to know, but please also include who you want the question to be asked, or if you would like all the panelists to answer your question. Okay, let's kick it off. First question goes to JC. Mobilize was recently created by the car manufacturer Renault Groupe. What are some of the main challenges for a brand like Mobilize, which is dedicated to services and particularly to mobility services?
Hello, Claudia. Thanks a lot for the question. I'm very proud to be part of this panel. So yes, Mobilize was created a couple of months ago. It was in January 2021 when it was announced by Clotilde Delbos. And Mobilize, it's a mix of many flavors. If you take this recipe, you have the mobility services, the energy services, data services. We also have our captive RCI bank and services. And what is also differentiating, and I will explain later on why, is our dedicated engineering team. A dedicated engineering team to build specific cars for our mobility services, for instance. And that is brand new because we have under one roof all those flavors to make sure that we can address all the customer frictions, pain points that we are all living in our lives. And this is the first time that we have this setup. And we have three major, let's say, objectives. First, to reduce what was earlier said in the presentation in my deck, to reduce the gap between usage and cost, to make sure that we have a way to tackle the rapid loss of value. When you buy a car, a couple of years later, the residual value, it's half of it. So what can we do to go from ownership to usage? And usage, selling not a car or cars, but selling usage that we can build together with different partners, or we can build ourselves. And that's why you have the energy services in Mobilize, along with the mobility services, and mobility services not only for the people, moving people from point A to point B, but also moving goods delivery, last mile delivery, everything that we need to make sure that we can address and find solutions for the cities and for the customers.
Thank you very much. My next question is for Tadej. We live in a world full of disruptions. What do you believe are the key drivers for a traditional oil and gas company like Petrol to become the leading e-mobility provider in the Southeast Europe?
Thank you for the question. It is really a bit strange that the biggest oil company is like a leader in the e-mobility. We have Petrol written with huge letters in our name, in our brand, but also on the back of Porsche Taycan is written Turbo. So we can find some similarity in that. But it's true, we are aware of the energy transition that is going on the world. And we strategically said that we are going to be a part of this transition. And Petrol was like an enabler for the mobility for the past 70, 80 years. with providing the fuel. But now we want to provide other energies like electricity in the future, also the hydrogen, and be also an enabler for the mobility also in the future. So this is like the key strategic message from the oil company like Petrol, and we would really like to be a part of this new world of mobility. So that's why we are building the charging infrastructure. We are offering the e-mobility and mobility solutions, and that's it.
Thank you, Tadej. Lennart, I believe congratulations are in order. Congratulations on your successful fundraising last month.
Thank you very much.
What will be the role of your startup in today's more and more battery-centric industry?
Yeah, no, first of all, thank you very much for the congratulations. I think that's a great vote of confidence also from the market, also in that magnitude where we are moving at the moment. And I think it's also showing how serious all of the players take this space of batteries in general, but battery analytics in particular. And what we're seeing obviously is something that is new to everyone. So battery were usually a very small part of the vehicle. Now they're constituting 30–50% of the vehicle. It's enormously important, and it's a completely new and complex technology. So it's new for everyone. So naturally, innovative tech companies are usually a bit quicker in developing, and you see that kind of cell manufacturers become a lot more important in that value chain. So you see a big shakeup of that value chain, and coming with that shakeup, you see there's a lot of intransparency in the market. So a lot is possible in these kind of situations, and I'm seeing quite a lot of options for an ecosystem to develop here surrounding or bringing together players such as cell manufacturers that have a very important role, but also OEMs with insurance company, not traditionally big friends of themselves, also certification companies such as TÜV Rheinland, whom we are working with, and all of these kind of need that neutral player, more platform kind of business models that enable business models along the entire value chain. And I think also, I mean, we are a spin-off from university, so also that academic research and development that we see is an important impulse for the overall industry to really make this sustainable technology and get the most out of the batteries nowadays.
Thank you very much, Lennart. JC, you recently announced Mobilize 360 with RATP, BlaBlaCar, and Uber. What are the key objectives for a coalition of these leaders in the segment of mobility?
Thanks for the question. Yes, and we are again very proud of that, because this is brand new also in the market. You have 4 mobility leaders: Uber, BlaBlaCar, RATP, and us, Mobilize. And we decided to join our forces a couple of months ago to address daily pain points that we have in our lives. And by doing so, we want to provide simpler, greener, more sustainable mobility services together, and what everyone could bring to the table. What Uber could bring, what BlaBlaCar could bring, what RATP, Metropolitan could bring, and us. And Mobilize, I've just summarized what Mobilize is. Mobilize is how do we address mobility services. So if you take the car, we can produce the specific car, the specific cars, the purpose designed cars for each mobility segment. If you take ride-hailing, if you take car sharing, if you take micro-transit, on-demand transit, and more than that, you do the mix between the car and the mobility services. So the software and the hardware parts. And if you connect that to what Uber could bring, what BlaBlaCar could bring, what RATP, the Metropolitan, could bring, you have 4 mobility leaders joining forces to build together a joint vision of urban mobility. So we announced this kind of coalition a month ago, And for instance, one concrete example is 1,000 Francilians, people living in the Parisian region. And what we want to achieve. So we are today we are working on that. It's not. It has been announced. It is not launched yet. It will be done in the autumn, and we want to say, hey, you've got a car. We want you not to use your car, and instead we will be giving you, so 1,000 users, testers, a way of moving from point A to point B without using your own car, and we will be giving you a mobility wallet, or you could rely on RATP Mass or Uber. And we are trying to do that, not just to say, hey, we are 4 mobility players working together, but we want to address the real frictions that we have, because it's very siloed. We have many apps on our smartphone. It's not very easy and affordable, and we want to provide affordable solutions too. So the easy and affordable solutions services, and that you cannot do it alone. So that's why we partnered, and this is a midterm and not only a short-term, let's say, decision. We want to do that with those partners, and to do so, we want to test this kind of recipe in Paris. And if it works, we want to replicate that in other cities in France and in Europe.
Thank you, JC. I'm very excited to hear that. As a person who used to travel a lot, I also remember, going to Brussels, going to Munich. I had to download 17 different apps just to get around. And the other thing that I would like to mention is, this is really a common topic on this year's both presentations and roundtables. Yes, innovation is fuel, but in the last year and this year, I feel like companies and ecosystems are getting more and more connected and forming bigger and more successful success stories.
Klavdija, cooperation is key. For instance, if you take, this is exactly what we want to address. We don't know if we will be successful, but for instance, when we decided a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, to invest in Karoo is not well known because it's a B2B, to C platform, but it's the equivalent of Booking.com applied to what? To taxis and PHVs. So this is one unique app that can do what you need to address when you travel, for instance. So if you are moving to Paris or to New York or to Johannesburg, we provide this kind of platform to different business partners, and instead of having to install a new app where you are, you can still use your app in your country, and this app will work abroad. This is exactly, for instance, on the taxi ride-hailing segment, what we are providing and what we want to push further.
I really like that. The saying, teamwork is dream work, is there for a reason.
Exactly.
Perfect. Okay, Lennart, my next question is going to be for you. To take action, we need visibility. How can a predictive battery analytics contribute to implementing the elements of circular economy? Can you perhaps explain with an example?
Yeah, sure. I think obviously the topic of transparency in general is very close to our hearts. It's kind of the basis to all of our solutions that we bring to our customers. But ultimately what we're doing is, you have this kind of black box battery, no one knows what is in it and how much of the power is usable over what amount of time, very complex aging mechanisms. And we enable to have these parameters: state of health, remaining useful lifetime, power, energy capabilities, and so on. And just to take that example, as you requested, let's take a truck. And it's not the first use case that comes into your mind, but I think it's a good example. And as the CEO of Traton recently pointed out in a major German newspaper, BREUNIG trucks will also be powered by batteries. And if you look at the use case of a truck, the first use may be some long haul driver, right? That person is going to drive for the maximum amount of time they're allowed to. In Germany, that's legally like 5 hours. So a truck can do something around 500 kilometers. Then ideally they can quick charge, recharge the vehicle to 80% or even more. like this use case is obviously extreme, right? It puts a lot of cycles on the battery, a lot of stress in accelerating, braking, quick charging, and so on. So after that, maybe a couple of years of use of that, you would think, okay, same use case again, but that might not be a good way of optimizing the way that you use that battery. If you, for example, shift, except for kind of replacing the battery, you shift the use of that same vehicle to a more well, soft use case, shall we say. So, for example, regional distribution centers. These drive towards a cargo from one kind of storage area to the supermarket or to the next storage area, only in urban surroundings, only having like 100 kilometers or slightly more range per day. So by limiting the depth of discharge, so the amount of energy you use from the battery, you already significantly reduce the stress. And even in the same use case, you can use that longer. But in order to do that, you obviously need to understand that impact, and you need to understand the battery condition of each and every individual vehicle to identify the right sweet spot and right use case. And then at the end of that use case, when you finally see, okay, this battery is actually about to fail if we continue to use it like that, there's repurposing, for example. So end of life options, usually repurposing. So going, I mean, the most known use case is going into second life, using it to stabilize grids or off-grid power supply, where you need to know which of these batteries is actually still qualified for that, because it's quite expensive. You take out the battery and you need to remanufacture it. So that cost you don't want to take if with the wrong battery, also the testing afterwards. So you select just the right batteries where you know that the performance in the second life will be sufficient to do that. And for that, you need to understand how that battery performs now and how long is it going to do which kind of use case. And then you can optimize the way that you use it then and put it to recycling. Also less well-known use case or second life case could be to just put it in a different kind of vehicle. For example, forklifts that don't have that much energy requirements. They need a lot of weight to counterbalance the lifting. So that actually might be something that we see in the market at the moment using it. But it's always a narrow business case. So in order to do that, you really need transparency on what the battery can do and how long it will be able to do that. And I think it's from our perspective, from humanity perspective, I mean, we're talking a lot about batteries being the saviors or maybe even the villains of sustainability, because you have that CO2 ecological backpack once they go into life, and that is not really improving if you put them into recycling too early. So what you really want to achieve is maxing out that use case and making sure that you get the most energy throughput that you can through each and every battery.
Thank you very much, Lennart. There you have it. Optimization and collaboration, keys to success.
Absolutely, yeah.
So as we are on the topic of batteries, I believe that a new market for battery analytics is also going to open as we're going to leave the land and go into the air. Stefan, a new type of transport is entering the cities. Why did the company Rolls-Royce decide to enter the urban air mobility space?
So yeah, thank you for this question. So why are we interested in this space? Well, I think we've seen that throughout this conference, a lot of examples why it's exciting to think about mobility as a general in the urban environment. And another key trend is what's really exciting currently in aviation is seeing e-mobility entering aerospace. And so here our interest is really rooted in our group strategy. Since Rolls-Royce is a leading aerospace technology company and specifically a provider for power and propulsion systems, we have a really big responsibility for our products regarding their environmental impact. So it's core of our strategy to champion sustainability, and really at the core of this is electrification as one important building block. Now, electrification of aerospace is not that easy, and but what we're seeing is really great progress, and that markets like urban air mobility, where we have eVTOLs or commuter aircraft serving regional routes, are really driving the market. So they are really the drivers for electrification of aerospace at the moment. And we expect to see first applications entering into the market roughly in 4 to 5 years in these fields, and a really strong ramp up until the end of the decade. So we see that these solutions will be transformational and will really bring a great benefit to mobility as a system. And this for us is particularly exciting because we can improve our mobility for cities, for regions, while accelerating the development of the technology that we will need for a more sustainable future, then as well for larger aircrafts in the future. So this is why we want to be a leader specifically for the power and propulsion system in this market. And just to Lennart, so our systems will as well rely on batteries. So I fully agree with his point on the importance of battery monitoring and applying AI to better understand the utilization of the batteries. And definitely we'll follow up on the topic of second life opportunities. So this is really exciting.
I am so happy to hear that. You know, this event's main goal in my eyes, in my personal opinion, is connecting companies and cross-industry. I completely understand where you're coming from, and this is maybe something that a lot of people don't really feel. Electric vehicles are here. They're not something that's gonna be, you know, accessible in 100 years. This is something that's gonna be here already maybe in 10 years, starting with cargo, later on with people. So yeah, the future is basically now. And as I'm talking about the future and the future plans today, what are the key e-mobility relatable initiatives for Petrol for this year? What can we expect to see and experience?
For the now, our focus stayed on the ground transportation, so we are not in the air right now. But, not yet. But as you mentioned, it is really good that we know also each other, and also I'm really open to talk with all the colleagues here and see if we can find some complementary solutions for the transportation. But yeah, if I'm speaking in a more short-term future, like in this year and next year, next 2 years, we are seeing that a big expansions or a race of e-mobility within the company fleets. We can see that a lot of government regulations and also the subsidies, not only in Slovenia but also in the other markets, they are preparing the basis for the electrifications of the fleet. And we are also preparing solutions to help the companies how to electrify the fleets, because it is not so easy just to buy an electric car and just to set up a charging station in the garage. Maybe when you have a 1 car, 2, 3, 5, it is okay. It's easier, but for the bigger fleet, you need bigger infrastructure. You have you need a smart charging solutions. Maybe you need also a combination with the battery storage if you have a problem with the electricity, providing the electricity. And this is the really complex solutions that we are working on, and we would like to offer the really good partnership with the companies who would like to electrify the fleets. And it is one more dimension. The electric cars are not really, they cannot satisfy the 100% of the needs at the moment. Of course they will in the future, but I think it's very good for the companies that they have also a solution how to maybe exchange the car for the needs that they have with the internal combustion engine car and not the electric car. So to be free and that they can do their business in the best way they need.
Of course, companies always can aim to be sustainable, but also, you know, offer the best user experience to their employees and really make sure that the vehicles and the carpool that they have fit their needs. So thank you very much, Tadej. Dear audience, I would just like to let you know I'm coming to my last question. I've already asked most of the speakers everything I want to know, but now I'm interested, what do you want to know? What would you like to ask the experts? They are here, they are ready. So please let me know, type the questions in the chat. Let me know who you want to be asked what, and I'll get on it after my last question. Stefan, according to your opinion, how ready do you believe the European cities are for acceptance of all electric urban air mobility? What do you believe the next steps should be for the cities?
So thank you. This is a really important question on public acceptance. So, and actually, so perfect for my answer, just 3 weeks ago, EASA, the European Union Aviation Safety Agency, published a report on a survey they did on public acceptance of urban air mobility. So they went out and polled around 4,000 citizens in 6 European metropolitan areas. I think they had around 40 in-depth interviews and even used a simulation of aircraft noise to really bring this to the people and get proper feedback. And the main top-line finding was that around 83% of the respondents have a really positive initial attitude towards urban air mobility, with roughly 70% saying they would be willing to try out a UAM service. So this is really good result. Unfortunately, between these metropolitan areas, Ljubljana was not included. I guess if it were, these numbers would be potentially even better. But it shows that people are open to this, and it's particularly important for EASA and the EU to get first verified insights into what the public thinks, because this will influence future rules and regulations, and it will be really key to achieve public acceptance to bring this new type of mobility to our cities. Now, this to public acceptance, to the second part of your question, are we ready for it? Definitely there is a lot we need to look at to be able to implement these services and safely operate these vehicles in an urban environment. This includes infrastructure, air traffic management, and now, I will not go down into all the details because just yesterday we had an excellent talk by Vasilis from Airbus who really went into great detail. But I would probably just like to emphasize that it will be important that we showcase it to the people. And just like you said, people need to realize that this is not something from science fiction, not from Back to the Future, but it's something where we will have solutions which can actually bring a benefit to the overall mobility system in the not so distant future. And probably I would like to stress 3 things which are important. So first one, obviously it needs to be safe, safely integrated in the urban environment and safe to operate. Then secondly, it really needs to deliver value to the people. So this, I think there it's really important to integrate it into the overall transportation system. So specifically what we've heard this morning on mobility as a service, I think they're great examples of how you could manage that. And thirdly, I would say it needs to be affordable, because if you introduce such a service and it's not affordable for the wider public, you will struggle to reach the high levels of public acceptance that you need to really bring this into the urban environment.
Very good point, Stefan. Yes, Vasilis is definitely the expert when it comes to, I believe he calls it societal embracement. And you know, one of the topics that I often discuss with him is public acceptance is not just, you know, testing the user experience for people who are in the drones, but also for bystanders. How comfortable do I feel working in a skyscraper that there's going to be, you know, a drone flying near me? How comfortable am I going to be with the noise? And definitely eVTOLs and urban air mobility should not be a thing of a luxury, but, you know, becoming a part of mobility as a service at this point.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Perfect. And now it's time for questions from the audience. I see that you guys are really interested in this topic, so I'm going to read the first one. And the first question is actually for you, Stefan. How long will it take in practice that we can see Rolls-Royce Air products in daily use in Slovenia?
Well, that's a really good question. So the first product we're now working on together with our partner Vertical Aerospace is the VAX aircraft. So, and this is, we're targeting currently certification in 2024. So you would see a rollout of service in 2025. And I think then key will be engagement with open-minded cities. And so Ljubljana might be a really good location to be an early adopter for such a technology. So
yes, I believe that our location of AV Living Lab is a really good place for pilot testing. So I see some collaborations coming on.
A lot of opportunities there, yeah.
Of course. Okay, thank you very much, Stefan. I believe my next question goes to Tadej. I think this is something that you already sort of answered already, but feel free to go into more detail. The question is, some panelists are already present in the region to which Slovenia belongs. How do they see their impact or efforts in the region? Any exciting news we can look forward to in the near future?
I didn't really understand the question, or what is the...
I believe that Mr. Gorinc is asking, do you have any exciting news we can look forward to in the near future? So what steps, what is a part of your strategy in the upcoming year before electrifying car pools that you've mentioned in the previous answer?
Thank you for the explanations. Yes, of course, our focus is on in two pillars. So we are trying to develop two simultaneous things. On the one hand, it is infrastructure. This is not a solution; is infrastructure for the charging e-vehicles, and we are developing the infrastructure on the whole segments. So this is for the home chargers and for the public chargers, for the AC chargers, DC chargers, the fast, ultra fast chargers. So just to satisfy all the needs that are on the market. And we are not doing this only in Slovenian region, but spread it also abroad, especially in the area of Southeast Europe. This charging infrastructures allows or enable us to offer the charging solutions for the electric vehicles in the several different way. And I also agree with the colleagues here that those solutions have to be affordable and have to be with a very good experience and the solutions that everybody can use it. So that is one part, and the second part is mobility services, where we would like to provide or already providing for the companies, and in the future also for the B2C segment, the several solutions where can we provide the mobility as a service. So not only the ownership of the car, that is the most common thing today, but we would like to switch, offer the solution where you hire a mobility and not a car or any other vehicles. And in these mobility solutions, we are really looking forward that one day in the future we would like to also make a combination with the air mobility, and that this can be part of the whole ecosystem.
Thank you very much, Tadej. I have one more question for you, and then we're going to finish up with a question for all of our experts. So the first question is going to be today, will the charging infrastructure built by Petrol only at their service station locations or also outside this network?
Yeah, that is a big challenge for the Petrol, because we cannot only convert our petrol station in the charging stations, because this will satisfy I don't know, around 10% of the needs for the electric cars. We are now really looking for the locations that are more suitable for the charging electric vehicles, and those locations like in the city centers, like in parking places, park and rides, garages, tourist places, home locations, locations in front of the companies. So this is a very, very big challenge for us, but we are really focusing to find the locations where cars are staying, and where owners of the electric vehicles can charge their cars in the best way. And the logic is quite opposite of the petrol station, because we are setting up the petrol station on the most frequent roads, but the charging stations, you have to put it in the places where park are staying for the few hours, and etc. Except the petrol stations which are on the highways, and also some in the city centers, which will be equipped with the ultra fast chargers, and experience for the electric vehicle drivers will be very, very similar to the charging or the putting the fuel in the car. So it's a few minutes, 5-10 minutes that you are going to spend on the ultra fast charging station.
That would definitely be at least my goal as a person who likes using electric cars. The waiting for them to charge is
yeah, but
takes a lot of time.
Using of electric cars is more similar to using a mobile phones. So
Yeah.
you have with you all day, you're using it, but when you're coming back home, then you can charge it over the night. And I think this is quite a similar experience. But in some cases, when you need to go on a different, much longer distances, then you need chargers on the way.
Oh yeah, or for the phone, the spare battery charger. So maybe we need to invent those for cars as well.
Maybe Lennart can find the solution for the moving batteries.
I love it. Okay, dear speakers, last question. I'm going to read it out loud, and then I'm going to call you by your name, so you know whose turn it is to speak. Now, you all work for companies with a great vision and a great mission. And the question is the following. If speakers had only one thing to say to the public to support their vision, what would it be? Lennart, care to start?
It's very short to think about that question. Well, I think what became very obvious today, and is really all about ecosystems, collaboration, working together to achieve a greater vision. And I think no person alone and no company alone can make sure that we live in a world that survives our generation and the next generations, and we keep progressing and living more sustainably as a society.
Thank you very much. JC, want to continue?
Yes, but when Lennart said that, this is exactly what I would have answered. This is about, so thank you, Lennart, you did my job. This is about cooperation, collaboration, and what I said earlier, everything is fragmented today. Everything is too complex, too complex. So if we want to address what the cities want decarbonation, depollution, a mix of private and public offers. How do we achieve that if we stay in our corners? So we need to work together to achieve that vision and to make things very simple and affordable for the users.
Great minds think alike. Tadej, do you want to continue?
I would like to say that leave future today and go electric.
Sounds great. Stefan, your turn.
All right, so an aerospace perspective. So aerospace is really, people call it the third revolution in aerospace, which is electrification. And we need to work on a more sustainable future for aerospace. So Rolls-Royce wants to be the lead provider of power and propulsion systems to enable this, but it's all back to Lennart, it's all only possible with broad collaboration with partners and really looking at the entire ecosystem and making that work.
Thank you very much. Dear panelists, thank you so much for collaborating with me as well. Thank you for being a part of our conference. This is all the time that we had for our roundtable of e-mobility. Back to you, Petra.